Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our parent training. Tonight, we're focusing on the OT spotlight, and we are going to talk about how to provide sensory input without big equipment. I'm Jenna.
I'm Bree.
And I'm Gabby.
We are the OT team at the Robbinsville Clinic. So we just put this presentation together just because we have a lot of clients that come and see us that have a lot of different sensory needs, and we thought we could kind of help you guys at home on what you could do to help your kid to keep them regulated and provide them with activities to do. Obviously we know not everyone has the big swings and like weighted items and stuff at their house. So let's get started. So just to start, we wanted to kind of touch on what sensory processing is, and it's kind of just the way that our brain reacts to information provided through our senses. Everyone processes this information differently, and a dysregulated system can really affect your kids' ability to kind of engage and participate in their daily tasks and just anything they need to do either at home, in the clinic, or at school, or anywhere out in the community. It's important because a well-regulated sensory system is what allows us to perform our daily occupations. So for kids, most of the times, this kind of looks like their ability to get themselves dressed in the morning or play a game or pay attention in school or just do anything at home or even to just attend a therapy session and sit at the table and work on any type of activities. Some deficits in your sensory system can kind of cause a lot of challenges in your kids' ability to perform their ADLs, their ability to learn, their ability to play, to socialize with others, or to exhibit appropriate behavior when they're in the clinic, in the community, or at home. These difficulties with the sensory processing system can cause overreactions, shutdowns, or the inability to engage in different activities or their behaviors. It can also impact motor skills and coordination, which can then lead to delays in a kid's development or their ability to engage in their different roles that they have as a kid. So like I said, the sensory input is caused by the types of information that our brain processes from our different senses. So that includes our olfactory system, our visual, vestibular, oral motor, auditory, tactile, proprioceptive, and interoceptive systems. So we will go into that and go one by one and kind of just explain what those different systems are, what they kind of target, and different activities that you guys can use at home to work with your kid. So the proprioceptive system is located in our muscles and joints. It provides individuals with a sense of their body awareness, their ability to detect and control force and pressure with how they move their limbs or how they create actions or engage in any type of movement activity. So providing proprioceptive input can be dependent on the kid. So it can be very calming for kids who are easily overwhelmed by sensory stimulation, or it can be alerting for those who need an increased sensory system to kind of get them moving if they're like sluggish or really tired. Some different activities that you could work on to stimulate the proprioceptive system. They should focus on providing compression to the joints. So some things you could do, you can have your kid do some wheelbarrow walks around the house. So just kind of have them go with their arms on the floor and hold their legs up. You can have them jump rope, jump on a trampoline, any type of weight-bearing exercise like a jumping jack, a push-up, a sit-up, do some yoga. You can have them walk around carrying a heavy backpack or helping you move some heavy items and weighted boxes around the house. You can even put them to work and have them help you carry groceries in or help you carry them around the store if you take them shopping. You can have them do animal walks, which if they come to OT here, they should all know what all of their animal walks are. So just some examples are like crab walks, some bear crawls, some frog jumps, or some dinosaur stomps. You could always have them engage in a good old-fashioned pillow fight and squish them between the pillows. You could do some tug of war. You can have them help with your chores, like I said already, but more specifically, you can have them wipe down some tables. You can have them help with sweeping, vacuuming, or you could try and have a catch with them with some weighted balls just to kind of provide that extra input to their muscles and joints that they need to either kind of wake their body up or slow them down if they're a little too overstimulated. I am going to pass it on over to Miss Bree. She's going to target vestibular input for us.
So our vestibular system is all about our balance, coordination, motor planning. It's the way that our body communicates with our inner ear. So some of the ways that we can see vestibular input at home is we can carry objects, facilitate occupational performance and everything that we do during the day, allows us to be aware of the world around us, even if we're not actively thinking of how we're moving. Vestibular input can either calm us by providing like slow linear rocking, or it can alert us with quick spinning motions. So those might be some of those kids that you see that are constantly spinning around on a computer chair. Vestibular activities include things such as riding a bike, log rolling, obviously a swing outside on your jungle gym if you have one, hanging upside down, doing an obstacle course. You can do a simple game of freeze dance. If you have an exercise ball, bouncing up and down on an exercise ball. Sometimes there's also some fun toys like a sit and spin that you can use. Next up will be auditory input. So auditory input focuses on how our child hears the world around them. So children can either be, again, under-responsive or over-responsive to auditory input. So auditory seekers might like loud environments. They might like to listen to music or certain sounds repetitively. They don't mind background noise. Then you have the other end of the spectrum, auditory avoiders. They're distracted by background noise, frequently covering their ears. These might be our friends who are wearing headphones, overwhelmed and frustrated by noisy environments, and can become upset when there is an unexpected loud noise. Auditory strategies for seekers would be you could use toys that make noise or provide some fun instruments at home, sleep with a fan or quiet noise machine, TV at an increased volume, allowing singing or musical times throughout the day. For auditory avoiders, again, providing headphones or earplugs, scheduled breaks for quiet time, provide them with a warning if they're going to be in an environment that there could be unexpected loud noises. Use a sound to muffle out the loud noises or create a safe space with noise canceling and calming items. Oral input. So the gustatory system is responsible for the body's ability to differentiate between salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and savory sensations. Children with gustatory processing issues may have a high or low appetite or be very particular about the types of foods that they're going to eat. So oral seekers might have a large appetite. They might like to put objects in their mouth. They might lean towards one type of either sweet, bitter, or spicy flavors. They like specific textures. They might attempt to eat food items that are not food. Oral avoiders have a low appetite sometimes. There are picky eaters. They avoid foods based on maybe their color, their smell, their taste. They avoid specific textures such as crunchy, chewy, or mushy. And again, on the opposite end of the spectrum, might not like something because it's sweet, bitter, or spicy. Oral activities. Never force your child to eat anything because then that will make the situation or the aversion to whatever that food is worse. So you want to have a slow approach introducing new foods. Use gum or chewy fidgets to provide oral stimulation when not eating. Keep small packets and spices handy to add to non-preferred meals. Let your child assist in the cooking process. And they might be a little bit more likely to try different things. You could use things like flavored lip balms as well. I'm going to hand this over to Miss Gabby, and she's going to start with tactile input.
Okay, so our tactile system is our body's sense of touch. It is how we feel things in our body as well as how we discriminate between the things that we feel. So the tactile system is part of the nervous system, and it allows us to sense, perceive, organize, and integrate the information through the receptors that are on our skin.
So this system is actually the first to develop in utero, and as infants grow and develop, they continually experience new tactile sensations that aid in developing a functioning sensory system and teach them about the environment. This is why it is so important that when babies are little, they learn to crawl, because they learn to touch all the different things in their environment to help develop those systems. So the sensations range from light touch to deep pressure, to pain and temperature, traction, and the variety of tactile qualities of objects around us. So we do have a large relationship between the tactile system and our emotional centers in the brain, which is why we associate tactile experiences as good or bad, based on past experiences and also expectations, because as we were infants, tactile experiences are the dominant form of communication between the infant and the caregivers. So this is why some of our friends have a really strong reaction to certain things they touch, depending on if they're an avoider or if they're a seeker, but our emotional center is very linked to that sense. So that is why sometimes we have a large reaction. So we have tactile seeking behaviors and tactile avoiding behaviors. Some seeking behaviors could be if they prefer tight clothing, if they're always dirty or messy, have a high pain tolerance, they might not be aware if people are touching them. They could also have a low impulse control, always touching other things and people. If they're walking by something and they feel the need to touch it, or feel the wall or touch many different things around them. They can crave vibration, and they might be constantly mouthing objects as well as craving certain strong flavors as well. Some tactile avoiding behaviors include avoiding certain textures or clothing. They might avoid any messy play, such as things with shaving cream, different textures, sensory bins, things like that we work on in OT. They could be distressed by certain clothing items, such as tight pants, seams in the socks, their tags in their clothing, which is a very common avoiding behavior. They might dislike getting their hands, their face washed. They could avoid hugs or physical contact, become anxious over light touch. They may walk on their toes or refuse to walk barefoot. They could dislike hairbrushing, drying, or washing. So some activities for tactile input, you could, like we said before, sensory bins. We use a lot of sensory bins in OT for different reasons. We incorporate them for all different types of skills, but you can make sensory bins really easily at home. You can fill them with rice, beans, feathers, pipe cleaners, all types of different things. You can kind of make your own dried pasta, stuff like that. Whatever you kind of have around, you can easily make one. And a good kind of idea to do is to go from like a dry sensory bin to a wet one. If your child is a little bit more avoiding, the dry one is a little bit less it's a little bit less shocking to the system when they use dry stuff, such as like beans, and then kind of work your way up to using like shaving cream and like hair gel and things like that. We also have sensory dough, which is really easy to make, and there's lots of recipes online. They're usually 2 or 3 ingredients that you already have in your house, such as like flour and oil and things like that. So those are super easy to make, and they make a fun activity. Finger painting, tight squeezes, deep pressure, hand squeezes, body squeezes, and head squeezes. All of those things you guys can do together. Weighted blankets or vests. A lot of children like the weighted blankets when they're sleeping, but even just to sit down and calm down, they can use that as input. Hiding things in shaving cream or Play-Doh for them to find to kind of get them more comfortable with this tactile experiences. Placing random items into a bag and trying to guess them as well. That could be a really fun tactile activity to try to see if they can figure out how the tactile item feels, if it's soft, if it's rough, things like that. Placing items in a sandbox and having them dig for them. A lot of people I know have those in their backyards, but this could be something to use when you go to the beach this summer, working on that, taking them to the beach and getting used to that kind of texture as well. There is also a brushing protocol that can be provided by one of the OTs that your child works with. We have many of our kids using a brushing protocol, and this could be a helpful tool to increase their ability to use tactile or to be more comfortable with tactile input and decrease their sensitivity to some of it. Next, we have visual input. So there's also visual seeking behaviors and visual avoiding behaviors as well. So our seekers usually crave busy and bright environments. They prefer light up toys. They can get easily distracted by objects with lights and moving parts. They may crave screen time, and they might prefer like clothing with certain colors and shapes on it. Some avoidant behaviors could be like disliking the sun or bright colors. They often cover their eyes and squint when they're in a bright room. They may seem fearful of moving objects. They're also seen to avoid direct eye contact, group movement, and they also could experience headaches and nausea following really heavy visual input. and sometimes they're unable to estimate distances. Some visual activities that you can use at home include light up toys in a dark room, spinning toys, sand timers, sensory jars. Sensory jars you can also easily make at home. There's easy recipes online. Those take, and you can probably find all those items in your house as well. A kaleidoscope, using mirrors, doing a nature scavenger hunt. You can easily use the things outside as your visual activities, and catching butterflies in a net. So lastly, we're going to talk about our olfactory system. So there's olfactory seeking behaviors. If they're a seeker, they actively smell everything, including unpleasant smells, prefer meals with specific smells. And avoiders, they have a high sensitivity to strong or unpleasant odors. They avoid food or places based on the smell, and they can become distracted or withdrawn based on the smell. So some olfactory activities that you can provide for your child at home. You can provide safe smells such as essential oils. Things such as lavender tend to be more calming for a child at home. That could really stimulate their olfactory senses. Scented bubble play, scented markers for coloring. There's scented Play-Doh. Encourage outdoor play, smelling flowers, herbs, cut grass. You can utilize sensory bins that also have an olfactory component. And you can also use scent shakers for various smell experiences. Okay, so that's our presentation. We appreciate you guys tuning in to find out more about our sensory systems and how you can help your child at home. Please reach out to the OT team at PTA if you have any concerns with your child's sensory system, as every child is different and their sensory system reacts differently. So we're always here to help if you need us. Bye.